might not look like it, but we're coming up to summer. And because it's 2012, that means one thing. The London Summer Olympics are coming. And what better way to celebrate this than to hang out and chat with former GB hurdler and 60-metre world record holder Colin Jackson.
Colin Jackson now beginning to fly, and Colin Jackson leading, and it's Jackson, Schwartzoff and Jarrett in that order. 13.09 the time. Is the European champion.
He's also the ambassador for sport for Jaguar, and that means that we're going to be chauffeuring him around in one of these, the Jaguar XJ. Because this was an extra special interview, we got some extra special treatment and were given rare permission to film at a Jaguar and Aston Martin top secret location.
We're here in a very rainy test track and I'm here with Colin Jackson. Cheers for joining us, Colin.
It's a real pleasure, guys.
So you're the ambassador for sports for the Academy of Sport for Jaguar.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Well, what we do, we invest in our, hopefully, a talent of the future in sport. So we don't only just give them a little bit of bursary, which helps them with their training costs, but also we give them some specialised information, which will help them, and we describe it as mentoring really. So we develop them as a complete sports star. So there was the natural thing for us to really use the quintessentially British product with our, hopefully, our up and coming sports stars forever, ever, amen.
Obviously coming up to London 2012.
Yes.
It's going to be very exciting, but we'll talk more about that in the car. You've got your helmet on.
I have, I'm ready to go.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
So as we come onto the track, Colin, tell us a bit about your car history.
Oh, and one more thing. Because we were on their track, I had to hand over the keys to an official Jaguar Pro driver, which only left the back seats for me.
Well, my car history is really pretty boring, I'd say, most probably. I actually started off as a 19-year-old in something called a Ford Orion to a Sierra Sapphire, Sierra 4x4 to the Mercedes Cosworth.
You've got the XKR, which obviously from your work with Jaguar. How are you finding that? Because obviously that's a mean car there.
Well, my very first Jaguar experience was at the end of the 90s, and I actually owned one of these, what we're in now, an XJ, I guess it, yeah.
They looked fabulous back in the 90s as well.
Now,
real looker.
This one is slightly different. That we're in today, and I can assure you, I never hit the speeds that we're hitting right now. I was a big fan of Jags, as I told you. I had my one was as a young man, quite a young man really, and I remember lots of people saying to me, why are you in such a big car at such a young age? Because everybody described it as an old man's car at that time. But I think that the times have changed, and I think when I step out of my XKR, people go, that's sleek and that's sexy, and they're talking about the car, not me.
Oh, it could be both.
It's the car.
Going back over your career, obviously, as a world record holder sprinter, how did it all start for you? And I mean, how did you manage to get up to that level where you are still the world record holder for 60 metres? Yeah,
well, do you know what? I think one thing someone always says to me, you know, your real talent starts with a passion. And I absolutely loved what I did. I loved the sport of athletics, and I loved my event in the high hurdles. So I spent a lot of time really investing in myself, kind of trying to improve myself. So I spent as much time as I could stretching. I had a really strict diet. So I did as much as I could possibly do to get the best out of me. And I think I was just fortunate that the best out of me just happened to be the best in the world at the same time.
London 2012 is coming up.
Yeah.
What are our prospects?
Well, I think we've got lots of prospects in the sport of athletics for sure. I mean, we're looking at people like Di Green, Mo Farah, Jessica Ennis, Philip Sadu, Christina Hurgu could possibly, retain her title. Yeah. So I think our sport is in a really good position. And for Team GB in general, put it this way: we were 4th in Beijing, and I'm hoping that we can remain 4th again.
One of the most well-known young athletes for us is Tom Daley, the diver. And how do you think he's going to get on come the summer?
Well, Tom has at last just recently won a world title again, so he's obviously hitting form at the right time. But you know what? When we're talking about our big stars in the world, there's always somebody who's knocking the door, right, to try and be just as good as them or knock them off their mantle. And we all know that Tom's got some really great Chinese athletes that he's up against who are nearly faultless in their performance. So you can imagine poor Tom is up against it because we have a lot of expectation for that young man. They've never experienced the Home Olympic Games before, and they've never experienced pressure like this before. So for me, we're going to have some great winners, but also I think we're going to have some people who won't actually deliver a performance just because the pressure got to them.
And you're now the ambassador for the Academy of Sport for Jaguar. You spoke a little bit outside the car about that. How is that going to help young athletes develop into the hopefully record-breaking athletes that you are?
They have access to these great sports stars from David Beckham right the way through. So the information someone like David or Dame Kelly Holmes can give any aspiring sports star is really priceless, and we're always happy to give our time and pass over our experience to these young people.
What else are you up to?
Yeah, I do lots of different things. You know, I've got my own production company as well that keeps me very busy in writing new scripts, writing new pitches, and trying to get all that produced. I'm also an ambassador for UNICEF, so I spend a lot of time with UNICEF. I'm looking at their different projects. So for me, I'm a busy lad, but I enjoy my time.
What are your final thoughts on this car?
Do you know what? This car is pretty special. For something that's so big and grand, boy, it's got some power and strength. We were whipping round those corners quite flawlessly.
And you'll be able to see because I was sliding all over.
There we go again.
I think it had something to do with the car, nothing to do with the driver.
Yeah, problem with the back seat, I think.
So that was our short time with Colin Jackson. Now the XJ might not be something that your average car throttle tween can afford, but it might be something you want to look into when you're a bit older and you've got a bit more cash to splash around. If it's good enough for a 60-metre world record holder, it's certainly good enough for me.